Okay, folks, we are 1 minute in, and welcome on my behalf to gasping the latest and greatest from Directions EMEA. So I'm going to give you a let's say 30-40 minutes of the latest updates when it comes to Microsoft Dynamics NAV or Business Central today, and trying to squeeze in the 3-day conference into this time. So obviously, I know that it will be a lot of questions, but if you could be so kind that you could leave out the questions and comments to be discussed offline. So feel free to contact me after the webinar or via email, whatever you prefer, and let's discuss from there on. So there are a lot of topics and obviously a lot of question marks when it comes to the announcements and all that. So let's do it that way. Okay, but what I'm going to go through today is very briefly for those who are new to what is Directions. I'm going to go through briefly that's what's the kind of core meaning of that event, and then focus on the kind of general announcement that was provided by Microsoft. There's new set of training tools and investment areas where Microsoft is pushing their efforts. And obviously, the main focus being today on actual concrete updates when it comes to the application and the kind of new life of NAV as Business Central. But I'm also going to recap some of the major changes that has been occurring from when going from NAV to Business Central for people that are also kind of new into the application itself. And obviously, the presentation is recorded. The material is obviously available, so I'm happy to share it afterwards. And for that, I've also provided you with some useful links at the end. So you have the kind of release notes, you have a new YouTube channel for Business Central, and all of kind of these really useful hands-on material that you could take advantage of. But briefly from me, nice to meet you online. My name is Henry Kaunislehto. I'm working as a sales manager at Solteq PLC. Today I'm sitting at Aviapolis, Vantaa, Finland, close to the airport, and mainly working 8.5 years around ERP solutions, and especially focusing on the different kinds of Dynamics portfolio. I'm also the internal super user of the CRM solution of the 365 stack. So I'm also kind of a old-fashioned sales guy that needs to have his hands-on into the solution to be able to understand what that solution is all about. But it was my third Directions participation, so I've been kind of witnessing the essential transformation from Dynamics NAV into Business Central. So it's a really good kind of timing on my half to get to participate into these meetings. But enough about me. Let's go into the compulsory disclaimer from Microsoft that was announced before each and every presentation at the event. So basically saying everything you see here can be changed, but yada yada, let's not use our time on that. Okay, but what is Directions EMEA? The picture is actually from this year's event from beautiful Vienna, Austria. It's usually around 2,000, 2,500 participants, and it's only for Microsoft partners actually, so no customers there. And it's intended for us partners to grasp the latest information from, yes, Microsoft. So they announced the roadmaps and the new features and functionalities, but also from that perspective that we get to meet other partners as well. We get to meet new ISVs. So new, let's say, possible partnerships across the Nordics, across the global. So it's a really good opportunity to learn that how people do the same things with the same solutions globally as well. So it's a really good opportunity to fuel our growth. Then we can bring back to you, our customers, to to make more smarter decisions and smarter solutions as well. But going into the actual event itself, the kind of overall topic, obviously now that we're talking Business Central instead of NAV, a lot of the topics are focused on Business Central, and especially the cloud version now, where Microsoft is pushing a lot of effort when it comes to making it more usable, making it more up to date, what you would expect from a really modern SaaS software, whether it's ERP, whether there's something else. But actually, a really concrete number now that Business Central has been around for a year and a half, so it is already up to 4,000 Business Central cloud version customers, and over, let's say, 1,500 partners are already on board going into that version. So it is, let's say, if you put it in any scale, like 1.5 years and 4,000 customers onboarding that solution, I think it gives a good kind of a security for those who are still at NAV to onboard into actually the Business Central version. And there's also kind of really concrete steps towards the new Business Central version. So Microsoft announced this kind of a migration tool set. So actually indirectly in the kind of user interface of Business Central are already these like migration tools that you can like, let's say, perform and monitor your way into the cloud. And then also already last year, Microsoft was talking this kind of in between, that if you want to try out the Business Central before transitioning from NAV fully, you have this thing called hybrid cloud. And it actually means that you can take your on-prem NAV and take the Business Central's user interface and actually connect those two. So you get the kind of look and feel to the new Business Central with your own legacy NAV's data, but you also get the good stuff from the Business Central. So I'm going to discuss briefly in a minute what they call, for example, the intelligent cloud. So you get a bit of an AI into your ERP already. And obviously, when we're talking cloud, we're talking Azure. There's still a lot of concerns and actually proof that you need to be really performing and scalable. And there are actually a really good set of tools that Microsoft is also onboarding into making the cloud more performing and stable as well. But actually, really good input is that Microsoft announced also a lot of what they call self-learning tools. So a new portal of what they call MS Learn or Microsoft Learn is a really good kind of onboarding material for new customers that are still in NAV and want to kind of learn what Business Central is and how do you use it, what's the difference from NAV to Business Central. It's an open portal, so nothing is now. Previously, you had customer source and partner source where you need to be already a customer before you can kind of get into the training material. But now it's been opened up for everyone. And obviously, as mentioned, I will provide a YouTube link. There's a good playlist and set of like how to use the really basic functionalities when it comes to Business Central, creating the standard like new items, new customers, blah blah blah. But it's a good kind of getting to know the application first on an actually really detailed level before like contacting us partners for quotes and all that. Okay, and as promised, there were kind of really like a set of performance improvements, and this was just one topic. I'm going to go briefly into usability, which was a big kind of topic this year. But there's a set of performance, let's say, improvements that will be, and then there's obviously familiar topic, which is the index tuning in SQL, whether that's on-prem, but it's obviously is Azure SQL performs the same way. But just a statement that they are looking into the concerns from customers on going to partners, and actually there's a cool new feature in the Business Central user interface itself. So there's this kind of help menu where you can actually request a new feature. So you can actually dive into the Business Central user interface and get to know it and see what's different from the kind of classic Windows client. If something is missing, if you say something that you could improve, you can actually go inside the user interface and click on help and then say that, okay, I would actually like this work that way. I would like that color to be different or whatnot. And actually that backlog list goes to Microsoft, and actually at Directions, they showed us that out of these requests from the field into what new features should be inside Business Central, 9 out of 10 were implemented into now the next release actually. So which was, I think as a partner, I think that was a good coincidence that now that Business Central is really under heavy product development, and it's getting a lot of attention from Microsoft, but also from the field, so from customers and partners. They are actually listening now, which isn't been that like for all the time, but now it seems that they are actually really pushing into the field. And as I showed you the numbers just now, it's already 4,000 customers, so it's a good base to get that feedback and get the application as should be. Okay, concrete things. Business Central. So the latest version now in October will be called Wave 2. And before I actually go into what's new, I want to make sure that everyone online understands the kind of major changes that has happened already actually. But when you actually go from NAV to Business Central, there's kind of as a simple guy, I recognize 4 topics that's kind of crucial. Obviously, the user interface is changed, and even more in the October release. But it's they are pushing everything now into the web client. So you will see the Windows client going away, and they wanted to make the look and feel really similar to the other Office 365 products. So if you are familiar with Power BI, the kind of black headlines and the navigation is the same now in Business Central. And they are kind of, if you want to, because they want to also emphasize the connectivity to other Office 365 products, so you can navigate between the applications really simply, and you can use what Microsoft calls Power Platform also as really simple way of connecting, let's say, your Business Central to your Outlook. You want to make sure that your quote is validated by your supervisor. Then you could create a simple process flow with the Power Platform without any code, and send an email to your supervisor, which then connects back to Business Central, and you can work on with the quotation from there on. So there's really like, as a simple sales guy, I can actually do kind of simple workflows that connect the Office 365 products as well. But they also introduced something that's now called Intelligent Cloud, which pretty much means that there's the Microsoft Cortana artificial intelligence engine embedded also into Business Central. And the first examples we've seen is actually in the finance department inside Business Central, where the AI calculates, for example, at what possibility will your customers be late with your invoices next month. So it's kind of looking back and doing the algorithm calculations, and then let's say promoting these to you in a simple way. I'm going to show you an example of the user interface in a bit. But obviously a major change into good, but obviously which makes us partners. We need to shake about a bit and then kind of change the way we do things, is that the CAL code has been now in the latest version. There's no CAL code anymore, and which let's say in common sense means that you're not able to touch the core code of the ERP anymore. And that's a good thing in that way, that the kind of core application stays more updatable. So the kind of history has been that you have your NAV and then you customize, and then you try to update that chunk, and then you need to move this a bit and move that a bit and do recoding. But the idea is now that what they call extensions is that you have the core application which stays updatable, and then you create extensions, so kind of microservice layer on top. And then the only thing that us partners or your customers need to update are actually these extensions. So it's more, let's say, now supporting the actual version upgrade ideology. So you can go every year into the newest version. You can take the next cumulative update that is actually being now pacing up because of this technology change. Microsoft is able to push new updates more aggressively, and we are able to adapt those more aggressively. But obviously that requires some technology change, but that's just a good move onwards. And obviously now they announced the cloud version besides the on-prem. So the cloud version means that it's a kind of deployed from Microsoft Azure directly. So any of you could go now into, let's say, businesscentral.com, I think, and download Business Central. And actually, I promote you to do that because you have a 30-day trial that you can actually just go ahead and play with it. And it's a good way because. But as a partner, we still see that the cloud version is meant for a smaller scale customers that have really standard processes and maybe just, let's say, finance inside of them, and kind of work like as close to the standard solution as possible. But obviously, they did not decrease the on-prem or the attention to it. That's still valid, and it's still the majority of the ERP customers are going on-prem, but installing that into Azure, so it's still a kind of cloud-based. But also there's a commercial change when it comes to moving from NAV to Business Central. The concurrent license changes, and now Business Central is talking about named users. So they obviously maybe simplified the calculation a bit, but still the licensing is available as perpetual. So you can buy and then have the small maintenance fee every year, or you can go into a subscription model, which is then per month per user, and you can scale the users as more flexible. And obviously there's a license benefit from Microsoft from NAV to Business Central, and you need to contact your local partner to hear about more. Good. So that's the kind of basics you should know now when we're talking Business Central, and now the latest information. And obviously, this is now what Business Central looks like today. So it's completely changed. The kind of navigation logic is the same, and obviously the departments are called the same, but you need to kind of move around a bit to find where everything is as it was previously. But it's giving you like still a dashboardy feeling. But the thing I was supposed to show you is the intelligent cloud insights. So as mentioned, it's predicting something that you should be concerned about. So as stated, one of the insights here that a certain amount of your customers will be late with their payments, and 14 invoices weren't paid on time, and your profitability will be most likely this one. So I think it's a good set of tools. It's a good kind of first step into what the AI can bring into the ERP world exactly, and as a really like pretty standardized way. And now we're going to the updates. So again, they are calling it the kind of wave 2. And what you see on the right is the new icon for Business Central. So nothing new there. It's a pretty much what they stated is that it's closer now to the other Office 365 icons, if you will. And 100 plus, I think it was more like 300-400 new features. Wasn't that sure, but there's a lot of new features when it comes to the newest wave. But as mentioned, there's no CAL code, so you have to do all of the customizations as extensions already. And in this version, there's no more Windows client. So that is it's a big change in a way that for people that have been using NAV with the kind of Windows client for years and years, and you're kind of secure because it's offline and all that. But still, I think it's just a matter of everything is going into the browsers today. I think it's more of a culture thing. And but they are replacing it with where it's been there already, what they call the web client, but they are kind of combined all of the clients and say that it's the modern client. I think they did that with the same with the AX. But a lot of goes into the client itself. There's a lot of like usability improvements, and what has been familiar from using the Windows client is you can have as many windows open if you want to, and if you update something here, it's updated here. And obviously, when you now go into a browser, that hasn't been the case. But actually, now you are able to do the same, but with the browser windows, so you can actually share a session between those two. And actually, I'm going to show you kind of more concretely. So as stated here, the browser options from now on are the web client or the modern client. So any browser. But there's also kind of like this miniature app in Windows 10. So you can have like a miniature application inside. Obviously, you can go into the different app stores and download the Android or iPhone application. And yeah, tablet pretty much means the same, so you can have the phone application on your tablet as well. But also there's these kind of gadgety things which are pretty cool. So you can actually download an Outlook client into your Business Central as well. So for example, there's been these demos where you can receive a let's say purchase order through your email. And then you would have this Outlook client to your Business Central, and you open up that one. And the Business Central recognizes directly inside your Outlook that, okay, this actually, this customer is this customer inside Business Central. You can use this price list for that customer. And actually, the purchase order he or she is requesting is actually these items inside. So again, it's kind of mapping the work for you and saying that, okay, the quote could be something like this to this customer. Do you want to process this directly inside Outlook? And that's really cool, because that's exactly what I was talking about, is the combination of Business Central and the other Office 365 products. So maybe you could use the Business Central without using the Business Central itself. So let's say people who spend most of their time working with the Outlook, they would continue using the Outlook, but simultaneously they would be using Business Central kind of in the background. So that was pretty cool. And again, for you who are already kind of falling out of their chairs, then where's my Windows client? If you are still kind of not confident going into fully web client ERP, us partners can still deploy that latest version from April, where the Windows client still is, until October 2020. So don't be worried, it's still there if you want to, but then you have to kind of step back one version and then stay on that until October 2020, and after that it's completely gone. But I think it doesn't still mean, if you're going with the web client, that you can't be offline, because there's still ways to work without actually, it's just the user client that's going into the web browser. It's got nothing maybe to do with the architecture itself. So I wouldn't be that concerned when it comes to that. Okay, but going into the kind of actual new features, they introduced something called Role Explorer, and it's kind of like the same that you had in the Windows client, what you call departments, because that has been missing from the web client itself. So you have a place where you can see where you can access. And I think the Role Explorer was actually meant for that you can take your business manager role and actually see section by section where you can actually access. And I think the kind of use case here was that, because previously, if you want to, let's say, use roles, you want to assign role privileges to your employees, and you want to kind of create these general roles, and usually that's been difficult to configure, and you don't really do it. You maybe end up giving super user rights to everyone, which is the worst case. But actually, in this case, I'm going to show you in a bit that actually you can give the user itself some power to really easily modify his or her user interface and the access to different sites and what do I actually need in my everyday life, which is really smart because that's the way it kind of should be. People are used to dragging and dropping and doing like really these like simple things. And how they introduced that, this has been actually in the previous version of Business Central already, but now they kind of combined this with the Role Explorer as mentioned. But what this kind of concretely is that when you go inside your user interface, you actually have this kind of modify button on the top right, which kind of triggers this recording mode. And when you're inside the recording mode, you can go and change things in your user interface. You can move, you can hide, you can add buttons, and you can actually restructure your menus, which was really cool. And you don't have to do any kind of configuration, or you don't have to go into deep menus or even change code, but you can actually just drag and drop things, which was really cool. And obviously, admin-wise, all of the super users are already like, oh dear, what will my users do with it? Is you actually record the changes that they made, and you can clear them all out if something is a mess. So it's still traced, but I think I really love the idea that they give the power to the users now to really modify their user interface, how they how they see the more fastest and convenient to work in their everyday life. And they also added this kind of bookmark to most of the pages inside Business Central. So when you are in your, let's say, employee, customer, supplier view, and then you think that, okay, actually I'm going to start my work every day in this view, you could just easily bookmark it and it appears on your front page, if you will, inside Business Central. And it's again, it eases your navigations. You don't have to click here to get where you want to, but just add shortcuts to add bookmarks to where you work the most. So really convenient. Further on, the personalization, it's a demo here. You can see the mouse dragging in the actual like really like selections that you have on the top, which in the Windows client are kind of hard coded. You cannot go and drag and drop things. You can go into kind of like, I want this in my menu and add. But I really like this feature that you can actually like really drag and drop everything you want to. And then these are then added to your role instantly. So it's actually saved, and you can use that as a template. So actually for let's say the super users that actually want to also modify kind of like the standard roles and then save that as a template for others to use, you can actually use this one as well. So create a kind of set menus and then save template for this certain role, and then you can let the users figure that out from that point on. Okay, further on, the personalization is going into filtering. So you can save your own views. You can save personalized list views. So this comes in handy if you're always searching for some set of products, for example, or always yellow products, always from a certain supplier with a price of this and that. And you can save the kind of filters, and now they have multiple filters into each and every one, and save that as a personal view, and again use that onwards as templates and share them across to people that might also use them. But also, yeah, I think it was through here, yeah. And this was what I was talking about. So multitasking across pages. So people that traditionally have been working with the Windows client is you can have, let's say, multiple screens and then maybe even a laptop, and then you take something over here, and then work something over here, and then you update the price over here or the product name, and then you want to kind of instantly see it update on the other pages as well, obviously. And now they were actually able to share the session on the browsers as well. So you can have the browser windows also split on many screens and see the update of certain data into the other windows as well. And actually, that the same applies to this feature. So when you're actually doing the filtering and saving, and if you move to another window in the meantime, or you go to a lunch break, it actually doesn't erase or reset your filtering, which was really handy. So this kind of session is still ongoing. And I think it was they also made this change that in the Business Central web client you had a session reset every 30 minutes, and now they extended it to 2 hours and all that, so you don't have to sign in also when just visiting the bathroom, for example. Okay, then the actual kind of high-level roadmap itself. So oops, that way, there we go. And obviously again, a lot of changes in the October release, which is now coming in. So it's the promises that Microsoft has been making for the past years. So making the code or the way of delivering Business Central smarter and more easier and more actually productized version or versus to projects. So they want to encourage also as partners to create a lot of our own standardized modules as extensions as well. So it's less configuring. It's more of a like let's say I want that one, and go. Because also Microsoft has been a lot of pushing effort into their own app stores. So not, if you haven't visited yet, there's a thing called Microsoft App Stores, where as partners we can publish like these really standard extensions or applications that you could use with any version of Business Central. And because there is always this kind of what everyone needs. Either it's something to do with the localized setup, so you have the standard kind of electronic invoices in finance, or the purchase order reconciliation, or something to do with the intrastat or whatnot. These are kind of, everyone needs them when we're talking ERP in a certain set of functionalities, and those you could kind of like really standardize and take into extensions into each and every Business Central ERP project. And that is the thing that also it states there, that reduce the ISV friction. ISV means independent software vendors. So all of the kind of additional modules that you would have around Business Central, whether you're talking like web shop or a handheld solution or whatnot, they want to really like open up the core to those applications and make it easy to plug in. So as you would expect, if you have your iPhone, then you want to just download applications and erase those that you don't use anymore. So it's never going to be that simple, I know, but I like the directions that they actually want to make it that easy, as it's kind of what the kind of youngsters are expecting nowadays. But again, I think it's going to do, now it was hundreds and hundreds of just usability improvements. I think that will continue, because obviously Microsoft recognizes that there's a lot of, not friction, but there's the classic way of using the Windows client, and it's maybe a bit scary to go into the web client only. I think Microsoft wants to make that as easy as possible and make things somewhat familiar also. So now they added the Role Explorer to kind of deal out missing of department views and all that. I think there'll be more additional enhancements around that topic. But also obviously the migration tools, so the transitioning from NAV to Business Central, I think they will enhance that even more. And there's a lot of tools to go that way already, so I wouldn't be worried with your partners that they don't have the set of tools to make the version upgrade as easy as possible. And obviously continuing to tie the kind of whole Office 365, I think they will rebrand it Microsoft 365 in the near future, if they haven't already, is to kind of still build up the more let's say usability ecosystem when it comes to all of the Microsoft products, from the CRM to your ERP to your Power BI to your Outlook, and really combine combine those into one good ecosystem. And obviously the way is good already there, so they have the Power Platform to kind of bring in small pieces that connect things to each other. For example, in the Power Platform, you have a thing called Power Apps, which is a really simple tool again for standard consultants without any code again, to build, let's say, small applications, smaller mobile applications as part of the Business Central. So you don't actually need a major, let's say, project to create a small handheld solutions to take pictures of your purchase invoices or whatnot, but you're actually going to use that out of the box, let's say, tool base that Microsoft provides to do that. So I really see the good opportunities there. And again, I think it's one of the last pictures is that from NAV 215 onwards, they promise now that we have a good set of migration tools. And if you want to learn more about that, then obviously you can contact me or your local partner. But there's kind of two ways to do that. So as I talked before, there was this first way to get your NAV onboarded with Business Central, and one way is the kind of hybrid cloud, where you could connect these two instances together. And obviously, then if you want to go just straight ahead into Business Central, there's good ways as well. Okay, but for more information, obviously, I can provide you with my contacts, but you have a good set of links here as well. There's the actual release notes. That's what I was discussing about. So the actual features on the detailed level. But what I would suggest is actually the second link, where you have a good demo video of the features. So they actually show you what's been changed directly in the user interface. And obviously, I've already filtered down the Business Central module, if you will, inside the Microsoft Learn portal. So if you want to go into kind of like self-learning materials and see that what's your kind of understanding level of the solution itself. And obviously, there's good instructional videos of the Business Central application itself. So how to do the kind of basics inside the applications when it comes to the, let's say, creating new customers, products from that. So there's a good set of tools for that. But otherwise, obviously, as I mentioned before, I'm happy to answer offline. So I thank you very much for your time for now. Hopefully you got kind of a grasp that where we are going with the Business Central. As partners, we are really confident that they are pushing a lot of energy into the solutions and making them more deliverable and easy to use for customers. Okay, but I thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure on my side, hopefully for you as well, and then hopefully to talk to you soon later. Thank you.